What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Realtor Success Podcast. My name is Jordan Brown. You can find me on Instagram at JordanSellsATX. And if this is your first time tuning into this podcast, which it should be because it's episode 1, we are a podcast that's all about interviewing high producing agents, and it's all for free. They're going to be sharing kind of their backstories, their tactical tips and tricks, and the things that are working for them, no matter what the market's like. You're going to be hearing interviews for high-level agents all over the US. And today, for my first episode, I am so excited to have this guest on. She is someone who I admire very deeply from what I've watched her enter this business and be her first ride along to now what she's accomplished in 3 very short years is absolutely incredible. She is not just an investor or a first-time home buyer or any kind of home buyer friendly realtor. She is a land and ranch guru, the land and ranch ambassador for the brokerage that I am at, eXp Realty. We're so excited to have you, Miss Timberly Fenoglio. What's going on?
Hi, thank you so much for having me on and
Of
for
course.
lovely and kind words you just spilled.
Well, round 2, right? We actually tried to do this a few weeks ago, and a very rare interruption from my internet provider really shut that down. Round 2, I'm really excited to get to talk with you. I feel like, there's very few people that are in this industry that have the kind of path that you've taken and have the trajectory that your career has had. And so I think this is a very timely interview. I feel like 2025 was not the year for a lot of agents that they were really banking on. And so hearing someone like yourself who is newer into the business, who has defined herself within such a niche and really exploded your career, I feel like this is a really important interview here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning. What got you into real estate? Like, just take me back. You're doing something else, and you get this inkling to, I'm gonna give real estate a shot. What did that look like?
Yeah. I wish I had like some amazing story of getting into real estate. Like I knew I was going to do it forever, or when I was younger and this and that. I didn't. I wanted to be a vet tech when I was younger. I was actually in a 4-H.
Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. And then I heard how like unhealthy it is for their mental well-being. Like apparently I didn't know this, but veterinarians and people within that space have like one of the highest rates of suicide, which is very depressing. So sorry, not to damper down I just relate to that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, they're going in late at night and they have a lot of lives at stake in that sense. But anyways, I saw a dog get neutered and I'm like, I almost fainted. I couldn't do it. So odd because I've grown up hunting all my life and I've harvested animals and this and that, but it being a pet was just, I guess my brain was like, no.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I was like, whatever. And then when I was 16, I started working for a pet facility when I was in high school. And at the age 17, I was promoted to kennel manager. And so at that time, like I built there for a few years and, I learned like community with all of our clients that would always come in. I knew what it was like to have like a family in that sense and take care of their loved ones and their pets. And I would have staff that would work for me and I was implementing policies and procedures and helping them grow and, this and that. And my dad, like one day was like talking to me about real estate. And I also wanted to be a lawyer in high school as well. Once I knew I wasn't going to be a vet, I wanted to be a lawyer. And I did a program in high school and everything. And I loved that. And I'm like, man, I just don't want to go to school for 8 years, honestly.
Yeah, who wants to do that these days?
Yeah. So we talked about real estate and I'm like, why not? I was working 55 hours a week at the management position I was at and going to school. So I ended up doing a 2-year associate's degree in real estate. And then I kind of stalled like a year later. And I was just like, I had this moment where I was like, I'm changing so much within this business. And I actually went to another business at the time too. So I worked for 2 different companies. And the way that I just kind of really helped build those, it was putting money into that business owner's pocket. And I'm like, why am I sitting here doing 55 hours a week? Like, I love the people and I love my staff and this and that, but I'm like, there's got to be more. Like, I could put this 55 hours into something else. And so I was like, I just got my associate's degree. Might as well go ahead and take the test and get into real estate. And so I did. And yeah, that's how I got into real estate.
Associate's degree gang, let's go. I mean, it took me 5 years to get a 2-year degree because I thought I was going to be a rock star. So
Nice.
that's awesome. I totally relate to that, where real estate's kind of this thing where everyone kind of has this hunch at some point in their life where it's like, oh, I could always try real estate. Like, it has this allure to it. And naturally, a lot of people who are in this either flux state or, aren't 100% sure what they're going to do with their lives. Like, real estate's kind of like this thing that's always there. Like, hey, you should try this.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, tell me what those early days were like. What emotions or struggles really stick out from that first year?
Yeah. Number one being obviously changing into a different career path that I didn't know. And not having that steady paycheck. Me and my husband had just bought our house. I was 22 and my husband was 25. And I was worried, I'm like, we just bought the house and this and that. And like, I made pretty good money in the management position. And I'm like, how is this going to work? Like, you hear the rumors of you're not going to make anything for 2 years and yada, yada, yada. And, I mean, I'm so grateful it worked out, but yeah, it was overwhelming to not know that paycheck was going to be there, and I was really going to have to test my limits of, hey, what can I do? And so, I joined a local brokerage where I met you, 160 agents or so at the time. And yeah, you were my first and only ride along. I was just like, I wanted to feel, like, how do you communicate? Like, how do you go to a house and open the door and like sit back and watch these people, right? Like, cause I've been on the other side, but I'm like, okay, but how do you really do it, right?
Yeah.
And
What is the realtor thinking when they're doing this or not doing a certain thing?
right.
And I think seeing someone like kind of do it, I like to think that you saw it and went, wow, that was so good. That was such a master class that now I feel like I can go out and do it. But in reality, it was probably, dang, if this buffoon can do this, I'm ready to go.
No, it was great, and just like seeing the interaction with one another. And I remember your client at the time, she was a first time home buyer and this and that. And it was like I had been there and I wanted to know how to, reciprocate and, obviously be the best realtor I can. And so I did that ride along, and I was just doing open houses. And anytime I had, on the weekends when I wasn't working from my phone or whatever, I was just trying to really saturate myself into like, what could this look like? And I got licensed in December of 22, but I didn't go full time until April of 2023. That's when I left my management job. That's when I felt ready, where I'm just like, I can't go at this point. I've seen some stuff going on for 3 or 4 months. I know generally what it could look like. I know what I need to task myself with. And if I'm going to do this and really kickstart, I need to go full time. And like, I had a real sit down with my husband to be like, can we do this? Like, can your salary support us for the next few months until I can figure something out? And he's like, he had so much faith in me of like, we're going to figure it out. And I just remember like month 1, month 2, until I got my first paycheck. And it was a small paycheck at that point. It was like 2 leases, but I'm like, tell me if you need me to go get a job, like, let me know. And he's like, no, just keep doing what you're doing, this and that, like all that faith. And I finally got an awesome deal that made me like 36K month 3.
Wow. Couple lease checks to a $36,000 payday. That's a
Yeah.
pretty good jump for your first 2 to your third transaction.
Yeah. And that one was from an agent who she did not want to take on this deal because it wasn't specifically in her niche and something that she wasn't well versed in. And naturally, with the brokerage we were with, we were very investment heavy. And that's what I saturated myself with the first year while I was there. That agent saw the amount of work that I was putting in, and she was like, here, you take care of this. Like, she had full faith in me. And I went and sat with that seller. I understood her needs of what she wanted to do. And I ended up getting a wholesale check and a 3% commission on that thing.
Hey, yo.
And it was like, wholesaling there's myths and stuff. And yes, there's right times, there's not right times for it and this and that. I very much made sure that she understood what wholesaling was and that was the route she wanted to go. And the biggest thing for her that I sat down and wanted to understand, because for me, it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm going to make 40K. Like, let's go ahead and like rip this seller off. It was like, look, I can do this a couple different ways. Right. And ultimately she had inherited this house from her mom that one, she couldn't pay for taxes wise. Because she lived in an apartment, was not a homeowner. There was a solar panels on the house, so she had a payment from that. Otherwise, the house was paid off, but she couldn't take on the extra payments. And her mom had a bunch of stuff in the house. She didn't want to take it. She didn't want to move it. She didn't want to clean the house. House needed a bunch of work. And so ultimately, I did what she wanted and I had it sold within 2 weeks for her.
That's awesome. Well, I think that brings up an interesting point because there's like a certain air about wholesaling, right? Where there's like an ethical dilemma where if you have your license, are you doing due diligence or are you doing your fiduciary responsibility to a client? But there comes a point where, and I used to kind of misunderstand what that meant. Like I was like, how can you serve the best interests of that person while also making extra money on top? But the difference is, and one thing I'm really thankful for my first, that brokerage that we met at, was they kind of changed my mind about there being just this binary, it's either this or that. You don't know what people's situations are. And I love that your first real transaction involved real serious, like careful going around the process, right? Like figuring it out and navigating. I'm sure that was a challenge.
Yeah.
Would you say that there was a moment, not necessarily within this transaction, but think about your first year in general, where you kind of thought, what did I just get myself into? And if so, what was that and how'd you push through it?
Well, that is a good question. I think just what could this be? How can I make grow? Right? That was just like, okay, what am I getting into? And how can I make this grow? Like,
well, even when you were saying, like, I had to sit down with my husband and say, look, if you need me to get a job, I'll get a job, but I think I can make this work. And that's an oh shit moment. For a lot of people, I remember being in my first year, I only sold 3 homes my first year. And when the splits I was on, the kind of crazy fees, the structure that I had and the team payout and all that, I mean, I made 18 grand my first year. And I went, well, probably not going to make it in real estate. But then you hit a moment where you're like, you know what? If I do go all in on this, or if I continue to do the right things consistently over time, I'm going to build this database. I'm going to continue to serve clients. I'm going to execute on opportunities when they arise. And I think that's the ramp that happens for so many people. I had a full-time job when I was still doing real estate my first year. And my moment where I kind of went, I need to do this more seriously in order to give myself the best odds of making this a career, was when I was losing $10,000 commission checks because I was making $10 to upgrade someone's phone at AT&T. There's a conflict there. And so, yeah, I mean, talk to me about like your first year. What did you have in place, if anything, to be able to kind of stay the course and navigate what it was like going full time? Was it your first year that you went full time, or was it later on whenever you had a few under your belt?
April was full time. So like that's when I full time. And so the first 4 months I was working, showing leases and open houses and this and that. And so that first and second month, that's when I closed 2 of those leases, and then like full time. And then the third month was when, I got that. It was like 36,000 and some change or so. And
that'll
like
put some belief into you.
Yeah. Thing is, like, she saw that she wasn't going to touch that niche, right? And I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm getting a lot of recognition. Like, I'm getting recognition out in public anytime I go downtown Georgetown, and I see people that are like, I see you all over social media. Like, you're doing so great. You just got into it. Like, I was constantly posting every day. And that was something that I knew, that when I got that recognition of other people voicing that they've seen me and they thought that I was like already selling, probably 10 homes at that point, and I hadn't. I was just like, something's working. They're seeing me. So be consistent, and also be consistent with the other agents that potentially don't do investment, because that's how I'm going to get. And that's exactly what happened the first year.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into the niching portion here in a second, because I think that was the big pivot for your business, where, a lot of agents don't realize this when they get into the business, but the average person knows 7 realtors. How do you stick out against 7 other people who have either been in the game longer than you, have more experience than you, have a bigger database? There's all these things about you stepping into this industry, where the earlier that you can carve out your niche and speak loudly to a smaller group of people, that's going to do better than speaking more broadly and it not really resonating because it's just noise at that point. But a few more about your early years, and then we'll go ahead and move on. But what would you say was your biggest misconception that you had about real estate early on?
That it was going to take, probably anywhere from 7 months to 2 years to get paid and get recognized.
No, that's great. Because so many people would say, man, I underestimated how long it's going to take to get me paid. And it's almost like this reaffirmation as to why they're stuck in the current place they are. You had the opposite experience. You're being told it's going to take 2 years for you to make any significant amount of money. And
Right.
you learned very quickly that no, I'm actually in control of, if I put the effort in, I do the work, I can actually get rewarded for this a lot more quickly. I
100%.
love that. I think that's a very important distinction for people to hear.
Yeah.
So, when would you say things started to click for you? What changed?
Guess that's a loaded question, Jordan. What do you mean click?
Let's say so you go from you're getting a few deals to the person that you are today, the realtor that you are today. Something changed in your business where, and I think this leans into the niching down, where you started going from the investment realtor to then you were doing residential, and then now you found this passion for a division that got created at your brokerage. Tell me a little bit about that, because I feel like your business, I'm it's so awesome to witness, where I'm watching you go from this first ride along to you're starting to get deals to now you're getting $30 million land and ranch deals and referrals for opportunities for people who haven't been able to sell their land and ranch. They're reaching out to you saying, I need you to co-list this stuff with me. So, what did that look like? At what point did you go, I've got to find a niche and I need to explore what the niche is? Or was it something more obvious where the opportunity pops up and you go, that's me?
Yeah. So first year, more investment. I did a little bit of residential at the end, again, just like agents, like, giving me a chance and referrals, and even my sphere giving me a chance and referrals. And so year two, at that point, I already had investment under my belt, if you will, that I was knowledgeable and, community knew that. And so year two, it was like, I really want, like, I was a first time home buyer, and I'm at the age where in the next couple of years, I'm going to start having peers that graduate to wanting to buy their first home, right? And they're getting married and they're having kids. And I wanted to be there for that. And so I started getting into more residential, and I was helping friends of my parents, sell their homes, $800,000 in Salado. And it's like, wow, okay, that was my biggest listing yet. And it was amazing. Their land was on a couple acres, or their property was on a couple acres there. And then I had a good friend buy her first house, and on a couple acres in Georgetown, 720,000 price point. And
So, you
then
started maybe connecting the dots that more acreage meant more money.
not necessarily at that point, but then she goes and buys 2 additional acres adjacent from her property later in that year. At that point, I was helping her and her brother purchase land help them, identify the land that they wanted to purchase for their development project. Her and her brother own like 9 different businesses. She's all
Mhm.
best friends, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Our amazing tax lady and everything, but she's very loyal, right, to me, and she understood like that connection of like I was going to take care of her, right, and so helped her with 2 transactions. Then I helped her and her brother 2.6 million, 20 acres in Gerald. Then I helped her sister a couple months later buy 2 acres in Georgetown. Then I helped her brother and her sister-in-law buy their house in Holland on like 7 acres, 1.2 million. And it's just like that, especially like with her brother and sister, the lifestyle that they wanted really resonated with me, because when I was younger, I grew up on acre properties, 5-acre farm, always hunted, right? And like I understood that lifestyle. And then I started getting people who were like, I want to secure land to build a house on in the future.
You
And
hear a
that's what,
lot of that. Yeah,
yeah,
you hear a lot of that right now. Everyone's not everyone, but there's a lot of people that are kind of sick and tired of the cookie cutter, copy and paste master plan
yeah.
communities, and they want that dream home that's built to their desire on a bunch of land where they're not sharing space with neighbors.
100%. And that was something where I just like, this is where I see Tim and I, my husband. I'm like, we did what we could, and we bought a house right under 400,000 in Georgetown in a neighborhood. But we're like, man, this is a starter. This is where, our money is going. We're going to get equity and we're going to build later, whatever. Right. And so I just really started resonating, and the joy that I found helping clients who wanted to do that really superseded anything else that I had done. Don't get me wrong, first time home buyer, like I had been there. And so if I know, like when I know that person, it's like a referral or someone that I know and I know their story, it was just like, I was so excited for them to grow their family. But land just brought me so much joy that I just wish everyone could really identify what they want to do and who they want to serve, because the joy that you get, I mean, it barely seems like work and
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah, and I think people can hear in your voice, like when you talk about land and ranch and how you grew up on a, hunting and all of that. It just seems very natural. There's a, that saying where if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And you've made it this life, this business to where you're around the things that you're passionate about. So it probably feels like a lot of fun that you're getting paid to have, which is what you
Yeah.
hope for everybody. And
Right.
I think one of the questions we just did last Wednesday, we did a training seminar where you were talking about niching down. And one of the questions was, well, I don't even know what niches are available.
Right.
And there was something that I know the people who are listening may not be able to see this, but one of the packets that you made, I hope this is helpful. You've broke it down so nicely where there's different aspects of niching. There's lifestyle,
Yeah.
there's property types, there's
Mhm.
life stage, location or community, or
Yeah.
value driven and personality type.
Yeah.
So that's important to know because it's more than just like I'm a first time home buyer.
Mhm.
Okay, well, are you a millennial first time home buyer? Like there's even like sub niches within the niche, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing that I really did with my relocation channel on YouTube is I try to appeal to millennials because I relate to them the most.
Right.
Now, granted, it's the smallest buyer pool or one of the smaller buyer pools right now. So maybe a change in my niche coming up, but
Yeah.
it is important to make your message clear because when you can identify who your audience is and speak clearly to what their specific problems are and how you're the solution to it, it's so much more valuable than just saying, hey, everyone, I'm a realtor. Come work with me. Please, I need to keep a roof over my head.
Yeah. And like again, first year, like I was recognized as more investment based, right? And so that's kind of where that niching started in a way to where I was really recognized. Year two, like I mean, I did amazing numbers wise and everything, right? But I still felt like there wasn't a clear vision because it was just like, okay, I'm trying to serve investors and I'm trying to serve first time home buyers and then sellers and then upgraders and downsizers. And it was like I was getting all out of the like it was all just all over the place. And it like I didn't like that feeling. But it was like the numbers were great, but it's like I don't want to feel like that, right? And then you're just talking to so many different types of people and this and that. And it's like, I might not have been the best for that person or that person, right?
Mhm.
You know,
But you're just taking what you can get because you have this undefined audience that you're trying to work with. And especially when you're newer, really like you're not at liberty to say no to anything until
right.
your business is in a place where you feel secure and that you have a constant pipeline of the type of people you want to work with. You kind of just find yourself chasing all over. I mean, I remember early on, one of my first handful of clients, they were looking, I'm not kidding you, there was an 8-hour drive to see 3 houses. Between one of them they were interested in, 4 hours this way, 2 hours this way, back
No,
to it was and
absolutely
I
not.
didn't have the business or the wherewithal to be able to go, hey, this probably isn't for me. Because at that point, you're chasing, right? So if you can niche in, if you can start building a pipeline of people that you actually want to work with in the space that you want to work in, if you can do it sooner than later, the sooner you're going to get that business that you're desiring.
Yeah.
It's so hard to do. Like it's one of those things. I get it. Again, when you're starting, you're just chasing what's working. But that's why like we use things like social media to be able to curate we want to speak to the people that we want to respond to us,
Yes.
right? The content you're pushing out is attracting land and ranch people that want to work with you. The
Right.
kind of stuff that I'm putting out is all about like people relocating to Austin who may not be affected by interest rates. So I'm
Right.
trying to get to a point to where the people that I'm I'm removing obstacles for myself where if you're a relocation cash buyer, like
Yeah.
you're not affected by whatever's going on in the market rate. So all these little things that if you didn't listen or maybe I spoke too fast, we didn't go too far into it, rewind a little bit to where I went over what those niche types were and really ask yourself, do I see myself fitting into any of these? One of them was like, I think one of them was about an age, like a location or community, life stage. So empty nesters, That's a niche.
Yep.
Upgraders, people who bought a starter home, but now they have they have more kids and they're running out of space. That's an upgrade client. There's luxury, land and ranch. There's all kinds of different niches out there. So hone in and buckle down. And your business will thank you for it. You'll thank yourself later for doing the work now.
100%.
Talk to me about what your business looks like today. What are your primary lead sources and what are you doing to help get those leads?
Yeah, my primary resources or lead sources are past clients and other agent referrals. So just referrals, honestly, across the board. And I get that from being consistent. I get people like, again, going back to the average person knows 7 realtors. Anyone that I've closed in the past that I know for sure has a friend, like another agent that I'm like, I knew she had that person or he had that person. I want to know. I'm going to ask them. And the number one thing that I got was that I was so consistent on my social media. Basically, the way that they said it to me, I read it in my mind and I'm like, they thought that I was busier than what I actually was.
It's a great social media is a fantastic band-aid for either inexperience or non-busyness, right? You're kind of portraying the reality that you want to project out into the world. And that's one thing that I really admired about the way that you grew your business was even when you didn't have a ton of stuff going on, you were so consistent that even I'm sitting there going, dude, she's put out like 7 reels today. What the heck is going on? Like this girl is crushing it.
Yeah.
And then if you were to talk to, the average realtor who is doing something like that, they're probably like, I could probably be busier.
Yeah. And I mean, I just saturated myself, like I was going to investor meetups, like this and that, just really saturated myself and however I could learn. And, I was on my story all the time, like at least 5 to 7 posts a day. And I still do today. There's been maybe a handful of times that my story has gone empty for a few hours. And then as soon as I see that, I'm like, oh, let's start posting.
Gotta post something. Yep.
Like something's on my story or I'm having something of value posted to my page. More of my lifestyle and day-to-day stuff is going to be on my story, right? Because I have my people who are constantly watching me and that's how I know versus, the posts are just kind of there when somebody wants to go through or when I initially post it. But like more of like, hey, get to know me. Like if you were to ask somebody right now, 3 things that they probably know about me, they're going to say that her color is green. She likes golden retrievers and that girl likes plants. And that's because I'm so consistent on my social media that they're like, oh my God, like green everything. And everything that I post, my text captions, everything, like it's all green. That's my branding. And that's like, I went heavy into my branding this year. And if I were to do it again, on top of the consistency, branding consistency would have been the first 2 things. 100%.
Wow.
Seeing everything doing with niching, take that how you will, and branding. Because as soon as I started getting all the green, I had this accent wall done, like I'm wearing green, everything. People started really recognizing me more.
You even got a green car.
I car.
You are dedicated to the brand.
Yeah, and so I have a Ford Expedition and the trim level is Timberline. So people are like, "Oh my God, you get a green car called the Timberline because you love green. Your name's Timberly." And I'm like, I swear, I
just coincidence.
That, but yes. Anyway, so that's the thing. Like being known, being seen, being consistent. People recognize those things, and then you say,
"That's awesome."
I have people they're like at a plant shop and they send me a picture. I'm like, oh my God, I was thinking of you. Or golden retriever stuff. Even other realtors, they're like sending me golden retriever reels. Like it's crazy.
Well, I knew whenever I was getting team gifts last year, I knew what color. You made it super easy on me on what color to get you. So the gold and green. So that's awesome. And you're 100% right. I look at it and I look at my own brand where it took me so long, one, to create like a unique logo that wasn't copy and paste, that wasn't found on Canva or something like that, that spoke to me, like kind of felt my style. I found the colors that I like. I wear the colors all the time to my appointments, and my signage is those colors. Like you have to become your brand. I think there's an underrated aspect to you having your own brand identity aside from your brokerage, because that brand identity can carry with you no matter where you go. Yes. And people don't work with you because of your brokerage. Like no one cares. Like the average person, the average buyer and seller gives 0 craps about who you hang your license with. They want to work with you. And one way that you separate yourself as a strong, contender for their business is by having a strong brand identity. And if you can figure that out earlier on, I mean, it took me 5 years to
Yeah.
figure out a brand that I was comfortable with. And Timberly, like she said, she went all in on it this year, and people recognize her for it. So just an absolute testimony to the power of branding and marketing, and it's done well by you so far.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like in my business now, I'm getting agents from other states that they're wanting to partner with me. Like I had this one lady who she reached out. She's an agent in California and she's also an agent here in Texas. She has a $6 million listing that she totally just that's not her niche, but she has it listed because it was a cold call. And she's like, I realize how much money's at stake and also just the situation that these clients are going through. And I do. And she's like, I talked to my seller specifically about you because she saw on my social media. She's like, I talked to my seller specifically about you, and they're willing to pay you 8% on the buyer side if you bring us a buyer. And I'm
Wow.
random. Okay, this is amazing. Never expected or guessed. And I took it a step further because it was like I didn't have anybody at the tip of my hands that I knew that was going to go out and buy this property. It's a very niche property. It's not for everyone. There's not a lot of buyers for it. And so like I really wanted to understand on a different level, like what kind of situation are these guys in? You know, what do you need so I can help, you know, her and them? And ultimately it was marketing exposure. She didn't have it. She didn't have what I had with the land and ranch community here at EXP to have, you know, the resources in Texas. She didn't have the social media following. And I said, well, it kind of makes sense then if you're open to it to partner.
Yeah, as opposed to me try to go find this very needle in a haystack kind of buyer. Why don't you partner with me? We'll co-list it. I'll get your listing the exposure that it probably needed from the beginning, utilizing the resources that I have. And now you're earning listings that you didn't have to go out and get because other agents don't have access to this stuff. Speaking of, real quick, just as a sidebar, if anyone listening wants to link up with Timberly about discussing land and ranch, niching down, or just anything about partnering with her to help your business go to the next level, there's going to be a link down in the description of this video for her Calendly. So be sure to book that. As you can hear, she knows her stuff. She's not just talking the talk, she's walking the walk, and she's getting paid. So if that's something that you want in your business, please feel free to take advantage of that. So that's amazing. I mean, those opportunities don't just get handed out to the average realtor. That gets handed out to, I don't say handed, that gets earned by the realtor who's loud, proud, has a brand identity, and is niched down into the best position to be able to sell a certain type of property. Like,
Yeah.
end of story.
And the amazing thing about that is like she went and talked to her sellers about paying me 8%. Do you think she's going to go to anybody else in Texas that's not me for anything like that in the future?
Heck no.
Then I have an agent who she does development in Colorado. She has a buyer there and she's not licensed here. Her client has a purchase price up to $30 million for hunting ranches. Recognition. Another agent in Colorado, she's seen one of the most competent agents in Texas, passionate about what I do. Sent me somebody who was looking to buy 1.6 million.
So what I'm hearing is drinks are on Timberly this Thanksgiving.
When I find that 30 million hunting ranch, and it may not be 30 million, but the opportunity that agent trusted me with one of her best clients in another area for me to help and for also me to do repeat business with that person here in Texas. And then what happens to that? I treat him right and I do well with him. He's going to send me to his other buddies.
Yeah. You don't need too many opportunities like that to develop a space within a niche where not many people exist. Not many realtors own that space. And so you become the go-to person for any defined niche. And that's where those referrals are so natural because they want to refer. They're happy to refer you because you knocked it out of the park with this very specific property type. And they're going to make it to where their friends, their family, everyone that they know gets recommended to you because you're not just some random realtor. You're the realtor. That's awesome. Walk me through what your daily routine looks like. Like, what does a productive day look like for you?
Oh boy,
where to begin?
Let's go into my calendar. It's filled from 5 a.m. to about 6 p.m.
Okay, hold on. Before you even get started, no, seriously, this is big. So many people that I talk to, so many realtors that I coach, some of them I'm partnered with, some of them that you just have casual conversations with. they don't have their days mapped out. If you're listening to this, what I'm hoping you heard is that a top producer like Timberly knows what she's doing from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. That is, and it's not all just grind. I don't want to make it sound like I'm sure you probably have in there. I have my lunch hour. I've got maybe some personal time in there. And but you know what that time is. It's not random. You're not letting the day throw you off. You're saying, I know exactly at 5 a.m. tomorrow what I'm doing.
Yep.
So please, I didn't want to interrupt, but that's so important to highlight because too many people don't have structure. And when you allow the day to randomize your results, it's no wonder your business feels random. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead. Walk me through what's happening from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yeah. So 5 a.m. I'm getting up, 5:30 to 6:30 or 6 to 7, depending on the class. I usually go to Pilates or I go to the gym, whichever day, because I fluctuate that. And then from 7 to 8, that's when my husband's getting up and he's getting ready for work to be out the door by like 7:50. So in that time, like I'm taking care of our animals, doing anything like around the house, household stuff, getting my day started with my laptop and my coffee going and eating. And then I go on a quick walk with my dog. And then I come in my office and Mondays and Tuesdays are my call days that I'm usually with clients or other agents most of the morning. I have Zoom days or Zooms that are scattered out throughout the day, whether it's Land and Ranch or it's Wolfpack calls, it's something else. Like most of my calls are Mondays and Tuesdays. And then Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, I'm either out with clients, on the phone, emails, drip campaigns. Like I have different hours where I'm doing stuff and they rotate every week. And of course, sometimes I may have the occasional closing at like 9 a.m. And so that doesn't fit. Right. And so I shuffle it around. But yeah, I like my calendar's filled from 7 to 6 p.m.
Well, I love that you also said, like, if I have something that's going to move something, I don't just get rid of it. I move it to either a different slot or a different day. I
Yeah.
still know that I need to do, like, I still need to move my business forward by taking action. Same thing
Right.
with me. Like, on one thing I've adopted from John Michael, one of our partners, is on Sundays. That's usually everyone's kind of chill day, usually.
Yeah.
And Sunday evening, he likes to get a look at his week and really plan it out. So if
Yeah.
you don't have something in your, at a dedicated time where you're sitting down and putting like a 30-minute to 1 hour intention to set your schedule for the next week, I would encourage you to figure that out when you can make that happen, because that's going to prevent it from, because like you said, things happen, life happens. I mean, shoot, we have the holidays coming up. We have Thanksgiving on Thursday.
We were just
So
for EXPCon,
yeah, little things happen, but you still have to move your business forward. And so those little actions don't get canceled. They just get moved is what I'm hearing. Speaking of, there's a temptation not to post anything during the holidays. I feel like a lot of people take this time off. One of my best performing videos, I actually posted on Thanksgiving thinking no one's going to look at this. Like everyone's going to be with family. But in fact, usually what happens is the opposite. You have your family time. And then what happens? After dinner, everyone's on their phone. They're reeling because all the turkey's setting
all the
in.
carbs and everything. Yeah.
Yes. And so that video actually popped off for me. I got 3 leads from it and I almost didn't post it. So if I could encourage anybody, post the dang video.
What was it?
Question. So you mentioned earlier that your business started changing when you started niching down. You brought up the Wolfpack, the group that we're a part of here at eXp Realty. Is there a specific Wolfpack resource that you would say has been really crucial in your business, or that has provided you or equipped you with a certain skill set or resource that's you've noticed has improved your business?
Yeah. Number one, I'm just gonna say community. Like our community has been really amazing, and communities is just super important. And then 2 is our hub that we have for Social Agent Academy and the AI Accelerator. That's been amazing because instead of just like having to be like getting an idea out of thin air or off of another realtor from their social media, replicate that. No, I have my own business plan of like, where do I want to grow? And is Facebook and Instagram, and I'm adding YouTube this year. And so we have different hubs for each one: LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, whatever platform. If you're wanting to bring in relocation clients, or you want to work your sphere, or you want to do cold calls, we'd have literally the blueprint for you to take your niche and the people that you want to serve and plug in to grow your business and to have systems working in the background. And that's been a complete game changer. Depending on what community you join or brokerage, they have access to some of these things, but then they charge you for it. When you join the Wolf Pack, and partner with one of us, you get the community, you get all of the different hubs of resources for AI Accelerator, Social Age Academy for free.
Yeah, it's easy for us because we see it, right? We see the success stories, we get to see what it is. And as you mentioned, it doesn't matter what avenue you want to go with social media. Social media is a gold mine because one, it's free. You can get organic leads basically hand delivered to you while you sleep from these trainings. And I think they're different from other brokerage trainings or people that charge for their trainings because Mike and his team recognized that social media was going to be the thing back in like 2015.
Yeah.
And it's held true. He was correct on that, where his first version of the Social Agent Academy was very groundbreaking. And then you have the success stories like Sum and Kim of a new agent in a brand new market with no sphere of influence. He moved across the country in the middle of the pandemic, and he's Korean. He says it himself. I didn't think I looked like a Texan, whatever that means. He always says that. And he made it happen. I mean, 200 million in sales his first 3 years in the business, all from YouTube. Didn't pay a dime for it. And there's little success stories like that. Not so little success stories, but you don't have to have those kind of results for it to work for you really incredibly. Even my own, humble little YouTube channel of 637 subscribers is producing business for me. I got a call last Saturday or last Sunday from a guy who found me, resonated with me, and that's a $1.5 million buyer for me that I got literally while I was asleep. So if that's something that you want to learn how to do, it goes over everything from branding, as Timberly mentioned, any social media avenue that you want to go. It has how to do paid ads correctly, either on Facebook or on Google, everything. I mean, it is the social media Bible. And if you want to learn more about that, be sure to book one of those calls with Timberly, and we'd be happy to show that with you. Got a few more questions for you, if that's okay. Do you have time?
Yep.
Awesome. What would you say are the biggest surprises for most people when they join the Wolf Pack specifically? Because we're cloud-based brokerage. There can't be community. There's how is everyone this cool? I don't know. Everyone wants to see each other win. What would you say is the biggest surprise for you, or maybe a common one that people would have after joining our group?
Yeah, the community and support. That's what I get from agents when I talk to them about them joining. As soon as I was in a few weeks and I saw the community and the support that I had, I was like, what the heck?
Well, it's cool because it's hard to curate a culture where everyone genuinely wants to see each other win. I think we've done a really good job, especially here in the Austin market with our team and our partners nationwide and worldwide, that we don't have to take a percentage. We don't have to charge a fee. And we just take advantage of the existing pay structure that EXP has. And therefore, we want you to be as productive as possible, make more money. And I want you to be a partner for life. It's different whenever you see it that way. And it's so awesome when someone comes over who may have been really hesitant. And then they get in here and they go, dude, I'm so glad I came over here. You have no idea how awesome, how integrated I feel, how equipped I feel to take my business in the direction that I want to go. So I totally agree. I think that's awesome. Let's end it on a few more. This is going to be kind of your personal insights here. How do you handle, because everyone that's listening is like, Timberly's crushing it. There's no rough days. I'm sure there's been some days. I love that you're like, that was a very genuine, Freudian slip right there. I loved it. How do you handle the hard days of real estate? Austin's been through a crazy, I mean, ever since you got in the business, we don't know what a normal market is. So there's naturally days that are hard. Listings fall through, buyer contracts fall through. How do you handle that?
I really changed my mindset the last year. When we went to EXPCon and there was that one agent, I don't remember, he was listing so many houses, and you know who I'm talking about. I don't know his name, but he had basically said he didn't care whether or not a transaction didn't go the way of the client, or you know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to
so I think his name was John out of Miami, and John was the number one agent out of our 87,000 agents in 2024. He was the only person who outsold our partner Sum and Kim that year. And I want to say he did $730 million that year, an absolute insane number.
And once he said that he put like the commission aside and really just got what the clients like wanted, and made them happy, like his business changed for the better. And that's how he got, a lot more business, like not having commission breath, this and that. And so like for me, it's like I do genuinely get sad like if something didn't work, like because I care and I'm not just like a transactional agent. I care if something didn't go well with that client or their house didn't sell, but I have a plan in place. And that's the thing is like I've had to remove a few listings off the market this year because they didn't sell. And I had prepared my clients for that because of the price point that they wanted and just, the oversaturated homes that we'd have coming to market in the Austin area. We had a specific time frame that didn't work, but they were able to hold the home or whatever. And, the fact that I stuck around and was positive with them, put the plan in place, with them, they saw that. And again, that just comes back to like not having commission breath. And like that would be a hard day in a sense of like if it didn't go well, I put my feelings aside and, my worries aside of like not getting that paycheck and just serving that client.
Yeah.
Serve client and helping them because that's what we're here to do.
When things fall through, it's easy for us to kind of go, dang, that sucks. I was really banking on that happening for me. Because we are, I mean, we're 100% commission kind of business, right? So it's not that we don't have a financial, that's why we get hired, right? But on the other end of it is our client who was also banking on a certain outcome happening, and that's real for them. When you have to remove yourself from being the center of the universe in this business, because real life happens and there's real consequences for the things that happen within real estate. I'll never, a few of my transactions, when you care, like you feel that for your client. It's like whenever I'm bummed that something didn't work out, it's because like sure, I'm not going to get paid, but more so I was hoping so much for my clients that a certain outcome was going to happen, and maybe it's still going to, but now it's on a delayed timeline after we already got excited, or depending on what it's funding for them, like their next steps in life. Like I take that really seriously. I really bear that burden of what we're getting hired to accomplish for somebody, and when it doesn't happen, like it really bums me out.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So let's end on a few positive notes. I got two more questions for you. What has been your proudest moment in this business so far? I know you're just getting started and you've had a lot, but what's been your proudest moment so far?
I think my proudest moment is really connecting with the joy that I have had with niching down this year, because the amount of like wonder in a sense in my mind of the direction that I'm going is like gone. Like I know exactly where I want to go from here on out. I know what I want to focus on. I know the clientele I want to serve, and I have other connections. Like I know there's going to be other people that come to me for stuff that I may not want to serve in the future, but I have the agent for them. And that just goes back to I'm receiving for referrals, I'm sending referrals. Like I'm helping clients through and through on each end, and I can feel good about what I'm doing. And I have a clear vision of the niche that I'm serving. All my drip campaigns, all of this is going to that one. And I don't have to create multiple different niches for buyers and sellers in each different pool.
I love
And
it.
that's just amazing because I don't have to be like, where am I going? Like, I'm just going to serve whoever this year with, I'm intentionally trying to draw in who I want to work with.
And knowing who you want to serve it makes everything so clear. It makes all your marketing efforts easier. You can have fun with like themes if you're having like a Christmas party that's land and ranch themed versus, and that's a silly example, but you get what I'm saying. Like all your marketing material, all of your messaging becomes so much clearer when you can identify that target audience. Last question for you, Timberly. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. Piece of advice would you give to agents out there? Let's just say new agents who may be listening. Maybe they're getting into the market. Maybe they're just now getting into the business. What would you say to that agent?
Be consistent in whatever you're doing. And if it's not working right, at some point you got to reevaluate and try something different. But like whether it's social media, like be consistent. Like you're on there every day. And that's the thing for me. Like there's different consistency levels, right? Like for me, it was just posting whatever my first year. And then 2 was like, we're trying to still figure it out. And 3, this year, it's very intentional in what I'm posting. Not that I'm just showing up every day, but I'm intentionally posting about land and ranch, who I serve, and my lifestyle.
I love it. There's there's a picture, and I alluded to this on our Monday call, was I see it all the time. And everyone has probably seen this meme before. It's the guy underground with a pickaxe and he's digging and
Mhm.
he stops to turn around because he's not getting the reward. But
Mhm.
if he would have made one more swing of the axe, there was a diamond mine on the other side. That's the name of this game.
Yep.
This business is really not that complicated. It's conversations and consistency.
Yes.
If I could make any two words the name of the game for real estate, it's how many people have you talked to and how consistent are you being with any of your efforts. And you've just done such an awesome job. I'm so proud of the agent that you are and the partner that you are for us. And I'm so excited to see you've already had such a killer year. I'm so excited to see what 2026 has in store for you. Timberly, where can people connect with you if they would like to?
Yeah. So my YouTube and my TikTok and my Instagram is going to be TX Timberly Real Estate, Texas Timberly Real Estate. My Facebook's going to be Timberly Fenoglio.
Awesome. Well, Timberly, thank you so much for joining today for the Realtor Success Podcast. I think this is a banger first episode. And if you're listening and you found this any bit valuable, please subscribe wherever you're listening. Give it a thumbs up, 5-star. You know the drill. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.